Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. Test 1 1. Good morning. How are you? Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, it was fun. So powerful. It's just amazing. It's just us. My mother.
Hi, Liliana.
I can't see or hear her, but she seems to be there.
Did she make it to Florida?
She did.
Yay.
Yeah.
Good. Is she gonna come to Michigan for Thanksgiving?
No. No. Why would she go from nice weather?
I know. To be with her family?
Yeah, no.
No. Okay.
Especially when Thanksgiving really is not our jam.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I understand.
I mean, it's
I understand.
for years we would do. We wouldn't do Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving. We did it on
Mhm.
Friday, and we did it
Mhm.
as like Thanksgiving Shabbat in
Mhm.
Toronto.
Okay. I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in Atlanta,
Well,
Charlotte and Atlanta.
that's fun.
We'll be running back and forth that week.
How far is it between the two?
Charlotte and Atlanta, what, 4 hours?
Oh,
Right.
reasonable.
Yeah. Okay, and then here to Charlotte is 9-ish.
Okay.
Maybe good.
Anything under 10 hours is doable in one day.
Yeah.
After you get around over that, it just gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning, Liliana. Good to see you.
Morning, Shabbat Shalom.
How's Florida?
It is
We
really
can't hear, hold on.
hot. I've forgotten how hot it is. Whoa.
Oh,
For some reason,
I'm glad to be here though.
over the system. Talk now, Mom.
you know what, I need some water.
Say something.
Do you have water?
Um,
That's yours.
no.
Can I get two?
Um. Okay, Mom, can you say something?
Yeah. Shabbat Shalom. How's the weather? Sounds good here.
Is it her end or our?
No,
end?
I hear her on the,
Oh, okay.
it's just not feeding through the.
Yeah, true. Thank you. Oh, good ones. Liliana, say something now.
Hi, I have no picture. I can hear
No.
you. There's no picture. It's black.
And our video is gone too. She's there, but our video is gone.
I have everyone here, I think. I don't think there's anybody else on. Oh, don't you love technology? Great when it works, but
What?
I've got a picture of the sukkah. Got the picture. Went away again.
This is my favorite day. Okay, it's on. Fabulous.
And it worked last night, right? Interesting. Strange. All right, our video is back.
Back, yeah. We're back.
What about that video?
Okay. Test 1-1. Okay, Mom, talk.
The sound is good. It's very good, actually.
Okay. It's not coming, you're not coming, I hear you in my ear, but not on the speakers. So, but during the service, we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. That's okay.
Okay.
Greg, I think it'd be okay if you unmasked. I would think.
I think you're safe. I think you're safe.
Me or a rabbi? I know.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, why don't we begin? I know we're a little late, but there you are. Technical issues. So, we will begin Matovu on page 74.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenatecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenatecha Yisrael.
Turning to page 76. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yitzar et ha'adam b'chokhmah, ubarah bo nekavim chalulim chalulim, galui v'yadua lifnei chisei chavodecha, she'im yefatech achad mehem o yitzatem achad mehem, אי אפשר להתקיים לעמוד לפניך, ברוך אתה אדוני, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. On the following page, if that was the prayer for our bodies, this is the prayer for our soul. Elohai neshama shenatata bi Torahi. Ata varata, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi. Va'ata mishamra b'kirbi. Kol zman shneshama b'kirbi. Modeh ani lefanecha Adonai Elohei v'Elohei avotai ve'imotai. Ribon kol hamaasim adon kol hanishamot. Baruch ata Adonai asher biyado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish. And on page 80, we continue with our daily blessings, those one-liners that thank God for our daily experiences, the seemingly mundane, but really without being able to do all of these things, we couldn't begin our new day.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasek vivina l'chavhin bein yom uvein laila.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef gefufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layayev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir shenai me'enai utnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shetzanu b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shetzanu b'chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shetzanu Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hosir Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hotir Yisrael b'tifara.
On top of page 86, we join in our blessing for study and for worship. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Adonai our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamlamed Torah lamo Yisrael. Page 94. Baruch Shamar v'haya olam baruch hu. Baruch oseh v'reshit. Baruch omer v'oseh. Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be. Blessed is the one. And we continue on page 96.
Mizmor shir leyom hashabbat tov lehodot la'Adonai v'zamer lishimcha elyon zamer lishimcha elyon lehagid b'boker chastecha ve'emunatecha b'leilot Ale asar ve'ale navel alehi giyon bichinor mizmor shir leyom hashabbat tov lehodot la'Adonai ilzamer lishimcha elyon lishimcha elyon.
Page 106. Or you want to do Ashra?
Yeah, we can go on. I know we're pressed for time, right?
Well, we're late, so. Page 106.
I'll live. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabba.
Amen.
V'yam adivra chirute, v'yam lech malchute, v'chayechonu v'yamechon, ufchayedecho be'Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman karim, v'maru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach, le'alam Yitbarak, Yitbarak, V'yishtabak, V'yipar, V'yitraman, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yitaler, V'yitalal, Shemei Tekudusha, B'richu, Le'ela, Min Kol Birchata, V'shirata, V'shmechata, V'nechata, Da'miram B'yama, V'maru. Amen. We rise for the Baruch Hu on the next page. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach. Leolam.
And on page 110, we continue with Yotzer Or, and please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer Or uvorei choshech, Osei shalom uvorei et hakol, Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim, Uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh b'reshit, Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, Kulam b'chochma asita, Mala ha'aretz kinyanecha, Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, Al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, Ve'al me'orei or she'asita yefa'arucha sela, Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, V'nizkeh kulanu mehera le'or'o, Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer ha'me'orot. And on page 113, let's join together in the middle of the page. Love your neighbor as yourself,
you said.
As
And
like-minded, we saw that inner and outer worlds are one as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us as we climbed, fell back, and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael, be'ahava. So rise for Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated as we continue. V'ahavta, page 116.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'leftecha v'aderech u'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshatam leot al yadecha v'hayu letatavot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al muzot beitecha u'visharecha Laman tizkaru rasitem ekol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti echem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem. We continue, page 121. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness, there is your word. Emet, the pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice.
Mi chamelcha ba'ilim Adonai, mi chamelcha nedar b'kodesh, no rati loda sefela, no rati loda sefela.
שירה חדשה שיפקו גלים לשמך שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Sor Yisrael, Kuma B'Yezrat Yisrael, Uftechinu Mecha Yehuda V'Yisrael. Go Aleinu Adonai Zevaot Shemo, Kiddush Yisrael. Baruch Atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
So we rise for Amidah, page 124. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'fiagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open our lips, that our mouths may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Ha'nora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Gula Lifnei V'Nei Lama'an Shemo B'Al Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rab Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGasham Mechachel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim Somek Noflim V'Rofei Cholim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem B'Emunato L'Shenei Afar Michamelcha Ba'al Kevuret U'Midam Elach Melech Meimi to Michaye, Umasmia Yeshua, Bene'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Michaye hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei Maram kakatuva ya neviecha v'karazel ze ve'amar kadosh 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 Adonai Zevaot melech kol haaretz kivodem Adir Adoreinu Adonai Adoreinu Ma'adir Shimcha B'chol Haaretz Baruch Kivod Adonai Mikomo Echad Hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu V'Hu Yashmienu Barachamav Le'nei Kol Chai Ani Adonai Elohechem Yimloch Adonai Le'olam Elohai Zion Le'dor Vador Hallelujah לדור ודור נגיד גד לך, ולנצח נצחים כדי שתרד נקדיש, ושפרך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד.
Baruch atah Adonai
האל הקדוש.
Please be seated as we continue, page 132,
ישמחו.
with Yismachu.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת בקורא שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת בקורא שבת. כולם יספרו ויתענגו מטובך שבת, והשביעי רצית בו וקידשת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא שבת. חמדה ימים אותו קראת השבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא שבת.
Page 135. Let's join together, top of the page. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha labadcha b'yirah na'avod. And we continue with our prayer for peace, Sim Shalom, top of page 140.
Sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uveratza. Sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uveratza.
Grant peace, goodness, and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people, Israel. Bless our Creator, all of us together, through the light of your presence. Truly, through the light of your presence, Adonai our God, you give us a Torah of life, the love of kindness, justice, and blessing, mercy, life, and peace. May you see fit to bless your people, Israel, at all times, at every hour, with your peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take a few moments for silent prayer.
Say shalom bimramav, uya Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
We turn together to page 253 as we join our blessing for healing, sending healing to all those who need it, those who are close to us, our friends and family, and also those who may not even be aware of us, but we send our energies of healing to the world, and we hope that their lives are made a little better. We especially remember on this Shabbat those who are veterans and whose lives were forever changed through their service, and for whom healing is hard and difficult and needed. We think of those who continue to struggle with COVID-19 or other illnesses. We send blessings and prayers for healing of body and mind and heart and soul. And we especially in our congregation mention Pat Hanna, Doug Ford, Steve Tottleman, Merv Weinman, Diane Levy, Joan Rosenthal, John Gayampa, Scott Gordon, Sarah Parton, Connie Mattis, Leslie Ford, Frank Fusaro, Renee Goldman, Phil DeFrancesco, Jay Kaler, Debbie Perry, Amy Doherty, Dick Metcalf, Sharon Johns, Shelley Schloss, Diane Kaler, Pat Scutella, Bernice Fox, Julie Matthews, Dane Marcinowski, Maggie Lee, Nyack Grinberg, Robert Wozniak, Pam Waters, Corlin Moray, Mark Mattis, Tammy Reynolds, Sydney Scramenti, Andy Green, and Martha Snyder. If you're joining us via live stream and would like to add a name, please add the name into our chat. If you are here in person and would like to add a name, please do so. So we join in our blessing for healing, middle of the page.
Mi sheberach avoteinu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Well, Shabbat Shalom. We are actually in Parshat Vayera, which is on page 12, beginning page 1223 in the Plout. So if you have a Plout, take a look at that. Actually, this is probably one of my favorite parshiot. It has within it these fabulous narrative stories. The first one is, we find Abraham, if you remember from last week, he and Sarah have just sort of got going, right? They have left everything they're familiar with. They are venturing out on their own. And here we find Abraham kind of hanging out, sitting in the opening of his tent, meaning like underneath a shade, a canopy or an awning of some kind. And he's sort of there in Tchum Hayom, or the heat of the day, right? So in the very heat of the day, here he is. And this actually is and was the kind of traditional thing that you do in the middle of the day in the desert, right? Your desert day is actually split really into two parts. There's early morning and late afternoon. And if you have ever had the chance to do anything sort of outside in the desert, it's actually quite dangerous to do it in the middle of the day. And so typically what will happen is you will work for 3 or 4 hours in the early morning and 3 or 4 hours in the late afternoon, sort of splitting up your day. And that the middle of the day, where it's the hottest, is not the time when you want to be outside and unprotected. And here is the same thing. And so we have Abraham sitting there kind of just relaxing and sort of taking in the scenery. And we have these this image of 3 men who show up and speak to Abraham and say, he says, okay, well, if anybody shows up in the middle of the desert, what's your obligation? You feed them, right? You feed them and you give them something to drink. No matter if they're friend or enemy, the tradition is that you feed them. Actually, the Bedouin have a very sophisticated kind of system where if they like you, they'll give you 3 cups of tea or some number of tea and a cup of coffee. If they don't like you, they'll only give you 1 cup of tea. And then if they don't offer you anything else, it's time to kind of like, off you go. 1, 2, 3.
Is that a current custom or that?
No, that's current. I mean, there's still that very much that sort of, it's a polite indication that I don't have time today, or I'm busy, or I don't like you, or whatever. But it's very clear that, as my grandmother used to say, it's handing somebody the roses. And off you go. So here he is. And of course, he tries. He says, "Look, if you would like, I'll bring you some water and wash your feet, and you can relax under this tree, and let me get you some food so that you can kind of restore yourselves, and then you can kind of go on your way." And Abraham, of course, then runs over to Sarah and says, "Okay, start baking bread." Now, this is not obviously bread that would need to rise. This is a flour water mixture that then gets mixed and baked, right? More like a pita bread than anything else, probably. Yeah. This is not challah that we're waiting hours to rise and everything else, right? So then Abraham goes out to the herd and takes a calf and slaughters the calf and starts preparing the calf. And he took sour milk and sweet milk and the calf, and he prepared it and set it all before them as they stood, under this tree. Now, I mean, it takes a little while, right? I mean, if you're going to you have to get the calf, you've got to slaughter the calf, you've got to prepare it, you've got to, all the things you need to, then you got to cook it. And, so this is not, these guys are hanging out a long time. Right. This is not quick. Let me get leftovers and put them in the microwave.
I mean, I know the laws of actually that in yet, but.
Well, there's lots of commentary on this because the rabbis are all worried about Abraham's adherence to the kashrut laws that haven't yet been created, although they say that, of course, he was aware of them because he was that, pious, and he served the milk first. Because you can, and I'm not sure, I'm not sure what it means in terms of sour milk and sweet milk, but it's obviously some sort of mixture, something. It may be sort of like a yogurt sort of mix drink kind of, milkshake sort of thing that they made. I don't really know. Yeah,
In Safaria, it says curds and milk.
yeah. So the rabbis try to get him out of that, but clearly he's giving them the best that he has, right? I mean, he's really doing everything he can give them the best they possibly can have. And of course, they say, where's your wife? Where's your wife, Sarah? And he says, well, she's in the tent, because, he's not so keen to have Sarah parading in front of strangers. He doesn't really trust them. He knows that, what might happen. And Sarah was listening, here on page 124, when he says, where's Sarah? She's in the tent. And one of them said, don't worry, I will return to you at this time next year, and your wife, Sarah, shall have a son. Now, Sarah's listening at the entrance of the tent, and behind him, and Abraham and Sarah were old and well advanced in years, and the way of women had ceased for Sarah, meaning she had reached menopause. So Sarah laughed inwardly to herself, thinking, now I'm all withered. Will I have pleasure with my husband, who is really that old? But the Eternal One, in other words, I'm at menopause and he's past his prime. The actual sort of reflection of reality or life is interesting here, right? Because she's clearly reflecting the circumstances of the world, right? This is an older couple. They're well, past their childbearing time, and she's saying, are we going to really, this is not really possible. But God said to Abraham, why is Sarah laughing? Thinking, am I really going to bear a child when I've grown so old? Is any wonder too difficult for the Eternal? And so God is saying, look, hey, I can do this. Nothing is too, difficult for me. And so, but Sarah says, no, forget it. I didn't really laugh. And God said, well, I know everything and I heard you. Can't hide from God. And in fact, of course, what happens? She has a son. And that son is Isaac. And as we move on through the stories, this parsha also has the story of Lot, and Sodom and Gomorrah are there. And this is the time when God says to Abraham, okay, we're going to destroy these two cities, and Abraham starts to argue. Well, what if you find some righteous people there? What if you find, this many people or that many people, and you go all the way down? And of course, God finds none of them. But nevertheless, here he is. And then we have the saga of the king Avimelech, and the fact that Abraham has kind of disguised the fact that he is married to Sarah rather than her sister yet again, and she ends up, with having Isaac, and then we move right into the very, very complex story of the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, in which Abraham is confronted with a request that was essentially a test. And there's lots and lots of intrigue around what the test really was and whether or not God was actually asking Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac. The realities are in the kind of interpersonal drama that ensues. This has a major impact on the family history and the family story, right? Because at this point, at the end of the story, Abraham does not sacrifice Isaac, and yet their relationship really is broken. Abraham goes down the mountain one way, Isaac goes down the other way, and the two never really speak again. Abraham sends a little later, next week, Abraham is going to feel badly and is going to send Isaac a wife as a kind of gesture of repentance or something to that effect, or of obligation, I suppose, as a father. But the trauma that ensues on the top of the mountain when Isaac perceives his father willing to sacrifice him is profound. And that sort of ends the relationship with him. And Isaac is inconsolable and moves to Beersheba, and we have Abraham living there. So as you can see, this is a parsha filled with these narratives, and the Akedah is a powerful story that you can spend years picking apart. So, questions?
Try to stay with the Parsha, and lately I kind of been looking for commentary and insight that I have not seen before. And I've been amazed at the ancient commentary that takes really negative views that in modern times we look at commentary where everything's glossed over, everything's what's good. But even what started on us for this is Abraham sitting in the tent and heating the day. Basically, he's saying he's fleeting. There's no going to be out in that, and they say that he sent Eliezer from Ophir. Couldn't find anything, so he said, "There's something wrong with you. You can't find it." So he went out himself and looked for people, and they're just saying this is not right. There's something wrong with this guy, and this is the ancient rabbis saying this, and I'm amazed that, like I said, we don't in modern times we don't look at those things. We don't look at it and go, "Oh, really?" I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, they were not all in terms of thinking that Abraham was this huge, successful leader and untouchable and on a pedestal and all of this. They saw him for all of his faults and foibles. The rabbis desperately try to get him off the hook. But essentially they really call him out. You have this other, right at the beginning of the Akedah story, right? So, next morning, Abraham got up and took the, bread and this and that, and he packs up himself. He cuts up the wood, he saddles the donkey, and then he takes two servants with him. Well, if you had servants, wouldn't they be doing that work? I mean, in terms of, because recognize that in the ancient world, the idea of water and cutting wood was the absolute lowest sort of form of work possible, right? So the fact that he's doing it himself. Now the rabbis will say he's doing it himself because he's completing. He wants to do the whole mitzvah, whatever God is telling him himself, and he doesn't want. But some of the other rabbis are saying, what he's really doing is he's stalling. He's stalling for time, right?
Well, that goes along with another ancient one that I had never heard of, is and because this commentator was old, but not out of that. But anyway, there was a legend at the time about some ancient guy in Abraham's time that had a disabled son, and he wanted to sacrifice him, and he got this big strong guy and the hero of his nation and everything. And this is what Abraham was contemplating. If I do the same thing, it's the same thing that happened to me. What's, and I was like, I never heard of this before.
I don't know what that, where'd you?
I'll have to take that out. Stuff I've never heard of.
Well, suffice it to say, actually more has been written on this story than almost any other narrative section in Torah.
Well, you read the modern commentary about Isaac being disabled, There's some quite a bit of modern commentary on that. I don't know any people, but other than that one.
Well, I mean, Rashi actually said, when it talks about, when it says later in the Isaac story, his eyes were dim.
Yes.
Okay, so Rashi comments on how are they dim? Well, when Abraham was standing over him with the knife, Abraham was crying, and his tears fell into Isaac's eyes, and they blinded him. Again, the rabbis are desperately trying to get Abraham off the hook, of how could this father who has been praying for this love child, and finally it happens, and then, sort of go and do this thing, and preceded only words before with the whole argument between Abraham and God about the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, whom he didn't know. So he's willing to fight for the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, who he doesn't know, but he's not willing to say anything to God except, okay, God says, I want you to take your son and go sacrifice him on the mountain. What does Abraham do? I'm ready. Here we go. Hineni. What? I mean, as a parent, I'd have a few other things to say. Right? I mean, Anyway, okay. Let us turn back to our service. And we'll rise for Aleinu and go to page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latekdu Yurtzer Breshit Shalo Asanu Kari Harasud Velo Samanu Kamishmachot Adam Shalo Samchel Kenu Kahem Vigoranu Kechol Hamunam Bananu Korim Umishtakhavim Umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Nateh Shamayim V'Yosef Haaretz U'Moshav Yikaron B'Shamayim Imarav U'Shchinatu Zo U'Shchinatu Zo B'Gov Meromim Hu Eloheinu Eino Emet Malkeinu Efes Ulato Kakatu V'Torato V'Yadata Hayom V'Hashivota El Levavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim B'Shamayim Mimal V'Al Haaretz Mitachat Eino V'Nemar V'Haya Adonai Hamelech HaKol HaAretz Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad. We think now of those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We're in the period of Shiva for Rosie Scraggs, and the period of Shloshim for Amanda Rachel Pinsky Thomas. And on this Shabbat, we observe Yartzeit for Isidore Rosen, Miriam Sunstein, Louis Goldsmith, Sarita Rain, Meyer Landberg, Abraham Lechner, Ida Harf, Francis Schuster, Maxwell Emmerman, Isaac Frank, David Cooperman, Edward Steinberg, Max Solomon,
Rachel Silverstein, Joseph Levy, and Cecilia Tenenbaum. If those joining on live stream would like to add a name, please do so in our chat. If anybody here would like to add a name, please. And so we rise and turn together to page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach rutev yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudsha barichu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechmata, damiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Pam, for leading. Give me a few minutes to reset into the other room and we will have our Torah study. I don't know which was worse, the one or the twos. Because the ones, they were like thinking, but they couldn't express themselves. So all they do is get frustrated. Hungry, yeah. He doesn't like the beans, and I would come home for all. Okay.
Doing this thing now where he's going for something like, no, when you come into the restaurant, and he goes like this, and then while he's doing it, he touches it.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
Oh yeah.
like the television, you know, you don't want him like poking it and trying to pull it over.
Testing water.
Oh.
Okay, Mom, can you talk? You have to unmute. You're muted.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't see you. I see Eric.
Okay, hold on. Hi, Eric. I have to switch this over. Hopefully.
Okay, try now.
No, I don't see you. I see the arc, in the other room. The camera's on there.
She's in Florida.
I was just about to ask if she's still.
There's challah there too, by the way. There is cupcakes. It's not Eric's challah, but there you are.
Oh, I stand.
Why are we not getting sound?
Name where we're coming from.
Yeah, he's stuck to work, getting his camera to work.
Okay.
This week we have sound, but no camera. Last week was camera, no sound. On average, doing pretty well.
Good morning, Juliana.
The camera's focused on the bima, like you can see the arc. That.
He's got two cameras.
Oh, okay. Maybe they disconnect that one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Are you in Florida or?
I just came on Wednesday. No, my flight was canceled Wednesday because of the hurricane. Thursday.
Okay, nice. Are you in an area that's affected by hurricanes?
Just rain. They really escaped the bullet.
Nice.
And the coastal areas had, the surges, the water and that, but
Yeah.
near the coast. So
Nice.
yeah, I wouldn't go and live near any coast anywhere nowadays. Never know.
Yeah, truly. Truly.
Florida, it's swampy as it is. So when they get rain, it just.
Test 1 1 2 2 test. Okay, you can hear us. Okay.
I hear you, but can't hear you.
What?
I hear you, but can't see you.
That's a blessing.
Sometimes. Yeah, the flight was changed, I think, since I booked it 4 times.
Wow.
July, right?
Wow.
So it changed 3 months later or something. And that was fine. I mean, it's okay. And then, of course, with the hurricane, they didn't go. So, I mean, kind of expected that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness I was home, so it didn't really
Right.
matter. Yeah.
Right.
There, now I see you.
Luba.
Hey,
Oh,
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Luba, can you hear okay?
Yes, I do.
good.
Right. We're using a different microphone, so.
Thank you.
All right, Carly, where are we?
Samuel 4.
Good job.
Number 4?
Yes, we are Samuel chapter 4.
we are Sue and Eric on the floor
Into you
Why?
on our kitchen floor.
because we're having our downstairs painted and we have no furniture in our house. We've been sitting here, living here for a week.
You want to come for dinner?
Yeah. Monday is the last day, and then we can move furniture in.
So we can cook, we can eat, we just can't get off the floor.
Stanley
You
must
could
love
bring a
that.
chair into the kitchen, maybe?
We sit on the steps. The chairs are in the basement.
Yeah,
It's
there's just no room left in the kitchen.
we have a small.
Gotcha.
Anyway, we're happy to be here.
It's camping out. It's all good.
It'll be worth it.
Yes.
It will be, except my tuchus is flat now. So.
You look quite comfortable there, you know. Dishwasher's a nice backdrop.
If you're cold, you can run the dishwasher and it makes, you know, a little massage, you know.
Rabbi, who else is in the room with you?
So we've got Pam and Craig and Carly.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
So, oops, and I think, there we go. Just a couple like administrative updates. The weekend of Thanksgiving, we are not going to have Torah study. We are going to do a Zoom service on Friday night only Zoom. But it seems that most of, well, everybody is off. So they're, you know, everybo's going different places. So, including me.
May I ask, it is still that if you don't have vaccination, you cannot come?
Yes, nothing has changed in that regard.
Because I haven't seen it written in the last papers I got.
Okay, nothing's changed.
There was no change.
No,
Because
so-
I could come help with latkes and everything.
yeah.
Okay.
Fortunately, that's a pretty hard and fast rule these days. But you know, we hope to be able to you know, move forward and in good ways. So who knows? So well, let's join our blessing for study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher shanu b'mitzvotav v'banu asok b'divrei Torah. And if you're not closer for any safe and health and safety reasons, if you get closer to the microphone, that would be great, because it'll be harder to hear. Okay, great. All right, we are Samuel 4. So, Samuel's word went forth to all Israel. Right, so here is Samuel kind of, you know, sending out a decree. You know, not an atypical kind of experience for a leader to do, especially in the ancient world. There would be these decrees that would be sent out usually by runner, and they would you know, sort of spread the word, literally. Israel marched out to engage the Philistines in battle, and they encamped near Ebenezer, while the Philistines encamped at Aphek. So they're sort of, you know, they have these two competing camps. I don't know of the geography in terms of where this ancient geography, I don't know, but ostensibly they're sort of opposing each other, right? The Philistines arrayed themselves against Israel, and when the battle was fought, Israel was routed by the Philistines, who slew about 4,000 men on the field of battle. So not a good day, right? This is not a good day for Israel. We are, you know, in the midst of this this war, and we get beaten. When the Israelite sorry?
Could you describe who the Philistines are?
Yeah. They are not Israelite.
Okay.
I was wondering if it's a generic term for enemy.
Correct. We that's why I say, you know, we're not exactly sure, you know, where they were from or who they actually were or what was about them or whatever. We know that they're neighboring, and we know that they're not Israel.
Okay.
They're supposed to be on the coast, on the ocean.
That's what
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. They
So like
say they
Jaffa.
found artifacts in like Greece or wherever, I can't remember, of the Philistines, so, but I don't know.
But when the Bible, yes, but when the Bible uses the word Philistine, they often will refer to different kinds of folks.
Okay,
right? It's almost like the enemy.
thank you.
Yeah. When the Israelite troops returned to the camp, and remember that war in the ancient world was not like, you have war today. So in the ancient world, really up until the modern period, armies would sort of line up. They would have a battle. Whoever won, whoever lost. And they would then go back to wherever that they were, and they would, sort of regroup. It wasn't this kind of constant, sort of constantly battling that we have, sort of today.
So would it be like more of a one-day thing?
Yeah, but this
Roughly.
happens all the way through the, 18th century. We have these battles happening like this.
In the First World War, I believe they stopped at night.
I mean, the First World War was the first large scale war. Well, really the Civil War, but the First World War was for sure the first time where the rules of engagement were significantly different. And that had to do with the technology available and the kinds of weapons that were available and just what people were doing. But, this idea of lining, lines and lines and lines of soldiers who would face lines and lines of the soldiers opposite them and shoot each other and see how many of them, were sort of left standing at the end of the day, really isn't what happens certainly anymore.
Right.
Right? So
4,000, that's major.
right. And, numbers are numbers. We don't know what the numbers mean, but we do know that when it says something like 4,000, we know that it means a whole lot of people. Right. This isn't simply, a casual small group. This isn't 10. This isn't 100. This is a huge group of people who died. And of course, they ask the natural question.
Why did God?
Well, no, the natural question is, whose fault is this?
Oh.
Right. I mean, when anything bad happens, everybody wants to know who caused this. Who's at fault?
Time for a congressional hearing.
Correct. Or a lawsuit, right? That's our immediate response. Sue them. Actually, it was interesting. When the Parkland shooter was sentenced recently, and sentenced to, I think, 18 counts of life imprisonment to be served consecutively. Which means, of course, that
He'll die in prison.
right. And then they imposed millions and millions and millions of dollars in fines. And I sort of was wondering why would they bother doing all of this? And it's actually, so I read an article. It's actually to prevent this person from being able to make any money.
Profit if he wants to write a book.
Right.
Later in life.
That they can. That
Or if he wins the lottery.
Or he whatever. That this is or some sort of change in whatever, and they let him out or whatever. That there's this other stuff hanging over. Fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
A
lot of license plates.
Right, so it's nothing at what, 12 cents an hour?
Yeah, right.
Well, he's got a lot of time on his hands. Okay, so they ask the question, of course, to themselves, what happened? What caused this? And they blame God. Why did God put us? Why did God put us to rout today? Why did God make us lose? Let us fetch the Ark of the Covenant of the God from Shiloh, so that God will be present among us and will deliver us from hand to our enemies. What are they referring to? They're referring to a very specific moment, a story that we already read. Go to Joshua. What happens? What happens in Joshua? They cross over the river. They bring the ark with them. And what happens? They put the ark in the middle of the river, and the river changes direction.
Okay.
Right? And they're able to win.
Oh.
Okay? So their natural response is, or they're thinking, God lives in the ark. Okay? God lives in the ark. All we need to do is bring the ark with us, and God will protect us. So the troops sent men to Shiloh. There, Eli's two sons, Hophni and Pinchas, were in charge of the Ark of the Covenant of God. They brought down from there the Ark of the Covenant of God, Lord of Hosts, enthroned on the cherubim. Which is
aren't Hophni and Pinchas no goodniks?
No.
Who are the Eli's sons from a couple of chapters ago who were hanging out with the temple prostitutes?
Oh, yeah. The same guys.
Rather than doing the work of the Lord. I'm like, these are the guys you want protecting the Ark of the Covenant?
They got better.
Okay.
That was last week. Don't be so judgmental.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, again, the text sort of takes it in chunks and pieces, right? And so last week we're chastising Hophni and Pinchas for their actions and the fact that they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and they're not following through with who they're supposed to be.
Right.
And suddenly this week they're the ones in charge of the ark.
All right.
Go figure.
Right?
All right.
Last week they were in jail. This week they're running for president.
Never happened.
Never. Okay. Okay. When the Ark of the Covenant of God entered the camp, all Israel burst into a great shout so that the earth resounded. So this is a big deal, right? This is, this is almost like God has arrived in town. The Philistines heard the noise of the shouting and they wondered, why is there such a loud shouting in the camp of the Hebrews? When they learned that the ark of the Lord had come to the camp, the Philistines were frightened, for they had said, God has come to the camp, right? Which means that this is well-known sort of folklore, right? It hasn't been so many years since Joshua. This is kind of well-known that this is sort of the atomic weapon of the Hebrews, right? This is the nuclear option. They're bringing in the big guns. And they cried, woe to us. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Oy vey. Well, no, it's really oy lanu. I mean, it's look.
It is.
The Hebrew says oy lanu.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, no, I didn't make it up.
It sort of looks like it.
Yeah. No, it means it's exactly what it means. It's wow, are we in trouble?
Right. Oy lanu.
Who will save us from the power of this mighty God? Remember, they're Philistines, so they're not necessarily dependent on God's. They're not monotheistic, right? So they see the world in a pantheistic kind of a way. You have your God, I have mine. I know what powerful God you have. The question is, what kind of deity can I invoke that would bring a different response? This is the same God who struck the Egyptians with every kind of plague in the wilderness.
I was just saying this sounds like when Moses and the plagues and Pharaoh and his magicians or whatever, and just sounds familiar. Okay.
Right. They're invoking that, right? Mm-hmm. So they clearly have a knowledge or a collective memory of what happened to the Egyptians. And they're invoking this, this image. Brace yourselves and be men, O Philistines, or you will become slaves to the Hebrew as they were slaves to you. Right? Okay. Be men of fight. So, I mean, and this is kind of the sort of psychological warfare that the Israelites are waging. They're gonna display the guns and the cannons and the war paint, right? This is there's nothing like the best defense is a good offense, right? So here we are. The Philistines fought. Israel was routed, and they all fled to their homes. The defeat was very great. 30,000 foot soldiers of Israel fell there. And the ark of God was captured. And Eli's 2 sons, Hophni and Pinchas, were slain. So this is bad news.
So first we lost 4,000, then we lost 30,000.
Nothing gets by me. Sorry?
I said first we lost 4,000, then we lost 30,000.
And then we lose the ark.
And we lose the ark, right?
The ark, yeah.
Wow.
Right? So Indiana Jones has to come back, and it's a whole thing.
You can hear the music in the background.
Right. So, I mean, it's absolutely decimating to Israelite people and also morale, right? I mean, we've lost the ark. How could you lose the ark?
Right.
You have one job.
Right?
Wait, why were we? I must have missed something. Why were we fighting in the first place? Were we fighting over land? Were we fighting over, I don't know, wealth? Do we know why we were fighting? Or why the Philistines were coming against us?
No.
No, just one of those things.
Yeah.
It's just time for another war.
Yeah. I mean, and in this part of the world and whatever, conflict between peoples happens with regularity.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have the backstory on what caused this current flare up with the Philistines. We don't know what's going on. Often it relates to one group fearing the other group and wanting to strike first.
Okay.
So, they can live happily together until one group perceives that the other group is now too strong and
You're
therefore
looking at me funny. That kind of thing. That kind of, two siblings. You're looking at me funny.
Stop looking at me.
Right. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
I will never have to hear that argument, hopefully.
You never know.
Okay.
Okay.
Verse 12.
So, a Benjaminite ran from the battlefield and reached Shiloh the same day. His clothes were rent and there was earth on his head. In other words, he was a mess. He was disheveled. He was torn. He was, When he arrived, he found Eli sitting on a seat waiting beside the road, his heart trembling for the ark of God. So Eli's worried, right? So Eli is there. He's worried. What is he worried about?
About the ark?
Yeah, he's worried about the ark. What is he not worried about?
Yeah.
His boys. Okay. The man entered the city to spread the news, and the whole city broke out in a cry. When Eli heard the sound of the outcry and asked, "What is the meaning of this uproar?" the man rushed over to tell Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old. His eyes were fixed in a blind stare. In other words, he's well advanced and he's suffering the, kind of ravages of old age, including the inevitable cataracts or things like that, living in that part of the world, you would be very susceptible to, and there's no such thing as sunglasses or any protection or anything like that. So the man said to Eli, I am the one who came from the battlefield. I have just fled from the battlefield. Eli asked, what happened, my son? The bearer of the news replied, Israel fled before the Philistines, and the troops also suffered great slaughter. Your 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God has been captured. When he mentioned the ark of God, Eli fell backward off the seat beside the gate, broke his neck, and died.
Whoa.
For he was an old man and heavy. He had been chieftain of Israel for 40 years.
So again, he didn't fall back because he heard his sons died.
Right.
And react to that. Oh my, this is like a soap opera.
Right? His daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was with child about to give birth. When she heard the report that the ark of God was captured and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she was seized with labor pains, and she crouched down and gave birth. So this is actually an interesting, piece, because it really talks about sort of the effects of stress and trauma on people, and certainly those who are pregnant. And we know that this is true, that if you have a traumatic, stressful event or news, it can spark a spontaneous labor or whatever, or a miscarriage if it's early, or that kind of thing. As she lay dying, the women attended her. Do not be afraid, for you have borne a son. She did not respond or pay heed. She named the boy Ichabod, meaning the glory has departed from Israel, referring to the capture of the ark of God and to the death of her father-in-law and her husband. The glory is gone from Israel, she said, for the ark of God has been captured.
I think that's a nice, it captures war nicely in that all the men are dead and you've got the women. I mean, it reminds me of Ukraine, what you see there. The men are gone. It happened in World War I, World War II, and these women are left. And yeah, so it brings that to me, that scene.
Yeah, it's a horror story, right? I mean, this is she is completely despondent. She's lost everything. And why is she dying?
It doesn't really say.
Broken heart?
Right. We don't know what it is that she's ostensibly dying from, although the incidences of death during delivery and such were very, very high.
I felt like I was dying when I was in labor.
You thought what?
I felt like I was dying when I was in labor, but
right, with all of the medical stuff that was unheard of.
Right, I can't even imagine, and especially like women having 6, 7, 8, 9 children. I can't even fathom.
Well, after the first couple, it
just shoots on out. Yeah.
Boom.
Popped another one.
Well, or the other one is that, if you survived the first couple, then you were okay. It's the ones who didn't survive that didn't get to,
I don't know, death and birth seem to kind of go together almost at the same time. I remember my father's brother we went to visit him in the hospital. He was dying. And I remember being in the hospital and walking down a separate wing of that same floor. And it was where the babies were. And I remember looking at the babies and I had this thought, and the thought was, I wonder if I'm pregnant. And a day or two later, I found out I was pregnant. So birth and death go together. And then, wait, the story continues. So,
or I was going to say,
there's more.
maybe visiting babies is a little bit.
So
We're not going over to Carly's house.
No.
So then it was time for the funeral, a day or two later. And I hadn't told my parents yet. And I remember my husband at the time and I we're in the back of the car. My parents are driving, and I'm just feeling really miserable because I'm having morning sickness. And so we get out of the car and we're standing around in the heat, waiting for the funeral to start. And my mom looks at me and she goes, "Are you pregnant?" And then I just started crying. Then I lost it. Not so much that my uncle had died, but because it's an emotional mess. So my point is that death and birth, it just seems to go right together.
Well, and we do have that, right?
Yeah.
That sense of one generation passing and the next taking
Yeah.
the place and whatever. And here, you have at least, because Eli has 2 sons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they both died, which means what?
His line is done.
And who is he?
High priest.
He's high priest.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So this is dangerous stuff. This is bad.
But we knew this was going to happen because.
You knew it was going to happen. It doesn't.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, like in chapter 4 or chapter 3, God
predicted.
said he was going to.
Right.
But Ellie knew this was going to happen. From the.
Well, I mean, it's the prediction, right? So it's the prediction happens, but maybe that's why he's not so shocked when he hears that the boys have been killed, but he's crushed when he hears that the ark has been taken.
Yeah.
I don't know, but in a sense, at least now we know that she's had a son. And that he will be able to then carry on the bloodline of the high priest.
But he's saddled with a name that glory has departed from Israel. That's going to be like his.
Yes.
I don't know.
His burden to bear.
His burden, yes, all his life.
Started the whole thing. He hasn't come back.
Yeah, and it's, the Hebrew is, she names him Ichavod, meaning there's no honor. It would be like, naming your kid Disgrace.
Yeah.
Hi, this is my son, Disgrace.
Yeah.
My daughter, Embarrassment.
So what happened to Samuel in all of this?
Absent.
Just, okay. That's odd to me, but I guess he's hanging out at the, you'd think he'd come with the ark or something.
Yeah, we don't know, right? He's not there. He's not part of the story.
Well, Ellie is still in charge, so Samuel's still a lower official.
Yeah.
Right, but he doesn't play at all. Right, there's no mention of him at all. All we know is that he's just not there. Okay, so chapter 5. When the Philistines captured the ark of God, they brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. The Philistines, which is on the coast, by the way. The Philistines took, well, at least the modern city of Ashdod was on the coast. I don't know where the ancient city of Ashdod was, but anyway. The Philistines took the ark of God and brought it into the temple of Dagon, and they set it up beside Dagon. Early the next day, the Ashdodites, that's an interesting word, the people of Ashdod, found Dagon lying face down on the ground in front of the ark of God. They picked up Dagon. Now, Dagon is probably, the Philistine god of some kind.
Form of a fish, it says.
Huh.
According to Rashi. Rashi says Dagon's a form of a fish.
Ah, right, from the Hebrew word dag.
Doug.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Interesting.
Good job. Early the next day, the Asherites found this Dagon lying face down on the ground in front of the ark of God, and they picked the Dagon up and put him back in his place. But early the next morning, Dagon was again lying prone on the ground in front of the ark of God. The head and both hands of Dagon were cut off, lying on the threshold. Only Dagon's trunk was left intact. I don't know about a fish thing with this description, but okay. That's why to this day, the priests of Dagon, who all enter the temple of Dagon, do not tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod. So we're sort of filling in a little bit of the local mythology here. So it seems that the mythology is that the priests of Dagon living in Ashdod never step on the threshold. They step over. And why? Because they had this terrible event of their god having left pieces at the threshold there.
It says in Wikipedia, because that's a great.
Surprisingly accurate, yes.
Yeah. It was a god worshipped in ancient Syria, and it was a god that was considered fairly high up in the pantheon. So it was an important.
A macher god. Not just a shepherd. The hand of God lay heavy upon the Ashdodites, and God brought havoc among them. He struck Ashdod and its territory with
Bulaya. Working on this, right?
Sometimes God can be a pain in the ass.
As well.
Really? That's really what it. Okay.
What's the word in Hebrew?
Well, hold on.
Kitty. Look up your.
I'm gonna look up the Hebrew.
Yeah.
Just.
So there's a textual discrepancy, actually.
Rashi commentary says a plague of the rectum.
Right.
Rectum plague.
Sounds very painful.
Yeah, I mean that, Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Literally. Okay. You never know what you're going to get at Torah study, right? Okay. When the men of Ashdod saw how matters stood or sat, they said, "The ark of the God of Israel must not remain with us, for God's hand has dealt harshly with us and with our god Dagon." They sent messengers and assembled all the lords of the Philistines and asked, "What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel?" They answered, "Let the ark of the God of Israel be removed to Gath." So they moved the ark of the God of Israel to Gath. After they had moved it, the hand of the Lord came against the city, causing great panic. He struck the people of the city, young and old, so that the hemorrhoids broke out among them.
More hemorrhoids.
I mean, of all the different punishments that God could have chosen, or that the text could have chosen to relate, it seems so strange that it's hemorrhoids, right? Now, not that hemorrhoids are pleasant, for sure, but it just seems like a very strange choice.
I have to wonder if this is maybe talking about some kind of like plague that went through, like something like cholera, where you die from dehydration because of you just like, I'm kind of wondering more if it's something like some kind of like intestinal plague disease that can wipe out thousands of people.
That would make more sense, right? I mean, nobody ever died of a hemorrhoid. we think.
We hope.
We hope.
Thank goodness it wasn't one of the original
But-
plagues. We can be celebrating.
But millions
them.
and millions of people have died from something like cholera, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right in that sense that or at least it's more plausible. It's a more plausible answer that it was and Rashi says a disease of the rectum, that it's some kind of dysentery, cholera, something that actually has the, potential to kill you.
And probably would in the ancient world. I mean, there's no supportive therapy to get through. There's no IVs.
No, you just have to, hope it passes, as it were. Okay. Then they sent the ark of God to Ekron. But when the ark came to Ekron, the Ekronites cried out, "They have moved the ark of the God of Israel to us to slay us and our kindred." So they sent messengers and assembled all the lords of the Philistines and said, send the ark of the God of Israel away, and let it return to its own place, that it may not slay us and our kindred. So they're saying, "Oh, forget it. Look, we see what's happening in these other two places. Why do we need this?" The panic of death prevailed the whole city. So heavily had the hand of God fallen there, and the men who did not die were stricken with hemorrhoids. The outcry of the city went up to heaven. Okay, so we've got this ark, which is kind of this essentially talisman of doom and gloom, right? This is this thing that is going to show up in your city and have major effects and kill people. So the ark, number 6, the ark of God remained in the territory of the Philistines for 7 months. The Philistines summoned the priests and the diviners and asked, "What shall we do about the ark of God? Tell us with what we shall send it off to its own place," they answered. "If you're going to send the ark of the God of Israel away, do not send it away without anything. You must also pay an indemnity to him, to God." In other words, so the priests of the Philistines are saying, well, it's not good enough just to send the thing back. You've got to pay compensation.
Who is saying that?
The priest.
The priest.
The Philistine priest.
Okay.
Then you will be healed, and God will make God's self known to you. Otherwise, God's hand will turn away from you. They asked, "What is the indemnity that we should pay to God?" They answered, 5 golden hemorrhoids.
5
Folks,
golden- Sorry.
'Tis the season, right? Four major sores, 3,
Bottles of hemorrhoid cream.
5 golden hemorrhoids.
What is the Hebrew word?
Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't
What
gotten
does
that far in
this
my
really mean?
lessons yet.
Really?
We're not sure.
They have a reference in Sepharia earlier on when they introduced hemorrhoids. They say the Septuagint talks about the Philistine mice invading the Philistine ships and invading their fields. And I'm wondering, and so here there's that reference to golden mice. How does the Septuagint compare to?
Okay, so the Septuagint is a Greek translation of the Hebrew text.
Okay.
Right? So.
Yeah. Okay.
I got nothing, folks.
This is just
You didn't
funny.
cover this in rabbinical school, the golden hemorrhoid
Golden
chapter?
hemorrhoid? No,
You were absent that day?
Wasn't-
couldn't be there that day. Yeah, I've never seen this before, actually.
Yeah, but read on. I mean, this is great. You shall make figures of your hemorrhoids.
It's gotta mean something else, right? It can't be what, it can't be what we understand to be hemorrhoids, right?
Right.
The mobile.
But I like Carly's idea
I do
that
too.
it was cholera, you know.
It's a transmissible, highly deadly.
Yeah,
And
or just, yeah.
Craig, I want you to go back and look at your translation in the Orthodox version.
Yeah. Greg, what do you got there?
I'm still searching. The biblical plague of hemorrhoids, what was it?
Don't do an image search. Just some advice.
Should I share my screen on that one?
Yeah, we need Brad here, Dr. Brad.
Well, I think,
Dr. B, I know you're in Tennessee right now, but I have a really burning question.
you don't want to be a pain in the ass, but okay. So we're making these. I don't know what this 5 whatever is, but anyway, we have 5 golden mice, corresponding to the number of lords of the Philistines. For the same plague struck all of you and your lords. You shall make figures of your hemorrhoids and of the. It's like a Monty Python sketch, right? Really?
Yes, it is.
I mean, it absolutely reads as Monty Python. You shall make your things of hemorrhoids.
Yeah, they have little sparrows. I get hemorrhoids.
Is that a European hemorrhoid or an African hemorrhoid?
This goes back to, they're making fetishes or representations, what Abraham was doing. He was making idols, and so it tells us that the Philistines are idol worshipers, I guess.
Right.
Well, for sure, right? So, and they think that they can invest an inanimate object with a divine power.
It's almost like the text is making fun of them. It's like, it's coming up with more and more ridiculousness, like make a golden hemorrhoid. Like, come on. Like, it almost is like it's making fun of them.
Well, I mean, you could, yes. I mean, if you're taking that as a literal translation, right? If it in fact is a hemorrhoid, and the text is now saying, okay, well, look at these stunking Philistines who are so stupid, they're making golden hemorrhoids. I mean, how dumb can you be?
Well, we know it's a plague, so it's still 5 golden, fill in the blank, your type of plague. It's like, why would you make a golden plague, like golden boils or golden locusts?
Well, because the plague was seen to have some kind of power in and of itself. Right?
Oh, okay.
So when you're pantheistic,
Okay.
right? The plague is a divine power in and of itself.
Oh, okay.
It has its own
Power.
identity.
Okay.
Okay.
5 golden hints.
Thus you shall honor the God of Israel. Perhaps he will lighten the weight of God's hand upon you and your gods and your land. Don't harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts. Of course, what's the irony there?
God hardened Pharaoh's.
Yeah, it wasn't the Egyptians that God hardened Pharaoh's hearts because God needed to prove to the Israelites that God was really, in charge.
What verse are you on?
6.
Samuel 6 verses.
Yeah. Okay. As you know, when he made a mockery of them, they had to let Israel go, and they departed. Therefore, get a new cart ready and 2 milk cows. Milch cows? I don't know what milch is. But...
Yiddish.
No, it's not. No, it's not from the German.
That's nursing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Born a yoke. I don't know what that means.
So 2 nursing cows, that makes sense. So two cows that are giving milk, right? That have not borne a yoke, so they have not been used in kind of labor that way. Harness the cows to the cart, but take back indoors the calves that follow them. Right. So these are cows that have just given birth, that they're lactating, and you're gonna take their calves and you're gonna put them back in the barn. Take the ark of God and place it on the cart, and put next to it a chest, the gold objects you're paying God as indemnity. Send it off and let it go on its own way. Then watch. If it goes up the road to Beit Shemesh, to God's own territory, it was God who inflicted this great harm on us. But if not, we shall know that it was not God's hand that struck us, and it just happened to us by chance. So here's their solution. They're going to test God. And they're going to say, because while they say, okay, look, this must be God, they're not 100% convinced. So they're going to test it out. They're going to pack up this cart. They're going to give it two of these cows who are not used to drawing a cart, which means they don't know a route. Because very often, if you have an animal that goes on a particular route, that animal will just follow the route.
Yeah, like a trail horse.
Yeah, horses or oxen or whatever, they'll just go along on the same route they go every day, and they sort of know where they're going. But if you use animals that haven't ever pulled a cart before, they don't know any of this. Okay. The men did so. They took 2 milk cows and harnessed them to the cart and shut up the calves indoors. They placed the ark of God on the cart, together with the chest, the golden mice, the figures of their hemorrhoids. I'm just picturing these Israelites eventually. This cart rolls into town.
What the hell is this?
And
What do these people do over there?
We're all cracking up.
it's one of these, wonder what we can do with these. Right? The cows went straight ahead along the road to Beit Shemesh. They went along a single high road, lowering as they went and turning off neither to the right nor to the left. And the lords of the Philistines walked behind them as far as the border of Beit Shemesh. Right, so they harness up these cows, and off these cows go directly where they were supposed to go. The people of Beit Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley. They looked up and saw the ark, and they rejoiced when they saw it, till they found that the ark, the cart came into the field of Yeshua of Beit Shemesh and stopped there. They split up the wood of the cart and presented the cows as a burnt offering to God. Right, so immediately they destroy everything Philistine about the whole thing. Right. A large stone was there. The Levites took down the ark of God and the chest beside it, containing the gold objects, placed them on the large stone. Then the men of Beit Shemesh presented burnt offerings and other sacrifices to God that day. The 5 lords of the Philistines saw this and returned the same day to Ekron. Right, so they have successfully returned the ark to the Israelites, along with this payment of punishment or gold or whatever it is. And here we are. The following were the golden hemorrhoids that the Philistines paid as an indemnity to God. For Ashdod, 1. For Gaza, 1. For Ashkelon, 1. For Gath, 1. For Ekron, 1. As for the golden mice, their number accorded with all the Philistine towns that belonged to the 5 lords, both fortified towns and unwalled villages, as far as the great stone on which the ark of God was set down to this day in the field of Joshua of Beit Shemesh. So that's why you've got all this stuff going on here. Okay. God struck at the men of Beit Shemesh because they looked into the ark of God. God struck down 70 men among the people and 50,000 men. The people mourned, for God had inflicted a great slaughter upon the population. And the men of Beit Shemesh asked, who can stand in attendance on God, this holy, holy God? And to whom shall he go up from us? In other words, why is God punishing us? What did we do in all this? they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiryat Yarim to say the Philistines have sent back the ark of God. Come down and take it into your keeping. Right, so the people of Beit Shemesh said, okay, the Philistines dumped this ark on us. We have no idea what to do with it, and it's caused this huge disaster. Please come get it and get rid of it for us.
Because ark supposed to be attended by our Aaron descendants and Levites.
Correct.
It cannot be attended by anyone else.
Correct. And so these people from Beit Shemesh, now, didn't the people from Beit Shemesh know this?
No, they just was not remember this.
Well, why wouldn't they have known this?
What?
Why would they have not known this?
I don't know, maybe they're just country bumpkins and they just don't know.
They was not pay attention for the things that happen.
This is a pretty big deal. I don't know. I mean, is it that they're not sure what it is initially?
No.
They
They
know
was
it is.
glad that ark
Thing shows up and they
returned.
know exactly what it is.
They was glad that ark returned, and they thought that it is okay. It is returned to Israel, but they forgot to call Levites and Aaron descendants.
Right.
They
Okay.
could have forgot.
What was the
I'm
answer?
so confused.
I'm confused.
What?
How come they didn't know to look into the ark for?
Yeah, you worded it in such a way that you know why.
I'm confused.
No.
Oh, okay.
I know. I mean, I'm asking, it's a rhetorical question, right? Like, why would they have looked in the ark? They knew they weren't supposed to,
They know that?
right? I mean, well, they're Israelite. They know what the ark is,
Okay, right.
right? So they know what it is.
Right.
They know it's the ark of God, and they know what it's supposed to do and what they're supposed to do with it, right? So
Okay.
how is it that they then go looking under the hood?
It was sent by Philistines. It was sent by Philistines, and they was not sure what it is really, if it is really ark or not. Or Philistines
they
tried
say,
to do something.
Here it is. I mean, they're pretty sure what it is. I mean, they put it on this big pedestal, and they
Making
they
burnt
make a
offerings.
big deal out of it. They know it's not just, and the fact that it shows up by itself is a pretty significant, it's not like these cows decided to bring the ark, whatever.
Right.
So it had to have been a divine intervention. So, okay, we'll find out next week.
2 weeks.
Yes.
Next week.
No, next
No,
week.
next week. Yeah.
We have next week.
Yeah, we have next week. And then we consider.
We have next week, and then the following week we're off.
So
Okay.
where did we stop?
Chapter 7.
We're at the beginning of chapter. We haven't started chapter 7 yet.
Okay.
So just so you all remember. Chapter 7.
Wow.
Okay.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shalom. Experience.